Hello my dear students, how is everyone doing? कैसे हैं आप सभी लोग? Please acknowledge me in the chat box if I am audible enough and you are able to see me. Yes, how is everyone? Write yes in the chat box if I am audible enough and you are able to see me. Okay. अगर आप मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं और आप मुझे देख पा रहे हैं तो अपने chat box में yes लिख दीजिए. A very good afternoon everyone. I welcome you all to the official YouTube platform of Goprep Class 9. I am Abha Ma'am, your biology faculty right here at Goprep. I hope that all of you are doing great. Okay. So I hope that you have completed the cell chapter in a very better way. So today we are going to start with the next chapter in our exam Abhyaas session, and that is tissues. तो बच्चा मेरे ख्याल से आप लोगों ने सेल चैप्टर बहुत अच्छे से कर लिया होगा. अब हम नेक्स्ट चैप्टर स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं अपने एग्जाम अभ्यास सेशन में, और वो कौन सा चैप्टर है? दैट इज टिश्यूज. सो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव लाइक स्टार्टेड विद द टिश्यू चैप्टर, और कितने लोगों ने टिश्यू चैप्टर को खत्म कर दिया? फटाफट से मुझे बता दीजिए. ओके, fine. Hello, I welcome you all. Hello, Harish. Hi, Anupriya. Hello, Daksh, Dipesh, Anupriya, Diptesh. I welcome you all. I hope that all of you are doing great. Yes? चलिए फटाफट से आ जाइए. So आज पहले हम क्या करेंगे? We'll follow the same. We'll do Menti first. हम पहले questions करेंगे and on the basis of that we are going to understand our topic. और उसी के basis पे हम बच्चे अपना topic को समझेंगे. Okay, so yes, call your friends immediately so that we will have a tough competition for this particular Menti. चलिए, so in today's session we are going to talk about the plant tissue. तो बच्चा आज के सेशन में हम plant tissue cover करेंगे, ठीक है? We'll talk about the different type of plant tissues. We'll do questions based on the same, and what are their types, what are their subtypes, and so on. चलिए फटाफट से सब लोग settle down हो जाइए. So many of you are like asking me again and again, when is your next class and so on. So my next class is tomorrow at 3 p.m. in which we are going to continue this particular chapter only. We are going to talk about plant tissue. तो बच्चा हमारा ये चैप्टर सेम रहेगा, ठीक है? बट इसका जो सब टॉपिक है वो हम कौन सा कवर करेंगे? We will cover the animal tissue. तो पहले हम plant tissue करेंगे. After this we will cover the animal tissue. ठीक है? That is tomorrow at 3 p.m. fine, at the same timing. Okay, now so many of you have already joined me on Telegram, but there are few kids who have not still joined me. Like if you want to do questions, you want to do quizzes, you can join me on this Telegram group. That is, the link of the same is given in the description box as well, and the name of the group is Live Flow. You can ask your academic and non-academic related doubts in this session, as well as dear, we are having a lot of quizzes over here, so yes, you can join me on this group. Fine. So yes, come for the Menti. The link, I will share you the link. Okay, फटाफट से Menti के लिए आ जाइए, and link is here. तो बच्चा लिंक ये है, that is 8, the code is 8999391. So everybody come for the Menti. You need to go to menti.com and you need to use this code, that is 899, okay, 8999391. फटाफट से आ जाइए. Everybody join. Do call your friends for the Menti too, dear. Okay. Fine. So I hope that all of you have joined. I'll repeat the code again. Okay, it's on the screen, as you can see, 8999391. The code is 8999391. Fine. Okay, chaliye. So before starting with the Menti, I want to give you a very important information. Okay guys, so पहले Menti start करने से let me give you very important information is that So if you have still not revised the chapter matter and its purity, if you have still confusion in this chapter, you can join a mini course which is going to start from today's onward, that is 14 December onward से ये course join होना start होने वाला है, ठीक है. It's a 5-day course in which you can revise this chapter, that is matter and its purity. So if you want to enroll for this particular session, you can enroll. चलिए, तो बच्चा पहला क्वेश्चन देखते हैं. एवरीबॉडी रेडी? ओके ओके फाइन, थैंक यू वरुण. चलिए, I'll repeat the code again. It's H9999391. Guys, you need to go to menti.com. You need to use the code. The code is H9999391. Okay? So let us see what actually the first question is trying to say. And the very first question is on the screen. Everybody, mark your answer. The meristem derived from the promeristem is called. The meristem which derived from the promeristem is called. Okay? And the options are lateral meristem, apical meristem, primary meristem, intercalary meristem. वो मेरिस्टम जो कि प्रो मेरिस्टम से डिराइव होता है, उस मेरिस्टम को क्या कहा जाता है? And the options are lateral, apical, primary or intercalary. Fine. So let us see who will be on the top of the leaderboard after this particular question. So there are 9 of you, those who have marked it as primary meristem. So we'll learn the concept based on this question, which is saying the meristem derived from the promeristem is called. But before that, let us have a look over the leaderboard. Hi Dhruv, please settle down. Okay, fine. So who is on the top? So we have Pingu with 978 points leading the leaderboard, followed by Gaurav, Lohita, Athar, Leena, Frosty, Pari, Adas, Twito, Tisa. Okay, चलिए. So next question भी कर लेते हैं. Okay, then we'll understand the concept behind these two questions. Okay, so second question is on the screen, guys. Okay, do you want me to launch? First of all, those who have just joined, use the code H9999391 to participate in this Menti. Those who have just joined, dear, the code is H9999391. Those who have just joined. Okay? चलिए. So question number 2 देखते हैं what actually the question is trying to say, and the question is on the screen. The division in meristematic cells are. तो जो मेरिस्टेमेटिक सेल्स होते हैं उसमें डिवीजन को किस तरीके का डिवीजन होता है? Okay, the code is H9999391, dear. Okay. So we have 12 of you, those who have marked it correctly, that the division in the meristematic cells is mitotic. So we're going to learn the concept based on these two questions. But before that, let us have a look over the leaderboard. Fine. Okay. So I think there is a twist in the leaderboard. Okay, so now we have Gaurav leading the leaderboard with 1909 points. I think Gaurav, you have 2 IDs or what? So we have Lohita, Pingu, Gaurav, Sanchit, Atharv, Alankrita, Leena, Dr. Evil and Shemi. Wow, that's great. That's great. All of you are doing great. Now everybody come to the concept, okay, based on these 2 questions. First of all, learn the concept based on these 2 questions, because as you know, many of you have not marked it correctly. चलिए, तो बच्चा सबसे पहले let us focus on the types of plant tissues. Talking about the plant tissues, they are of 2 types on the basis of that whether they can divide or they cannot divide. Okay, so meristematic tissues are of 2 types. Thanks again. Meristematic tissues are of 2 types. We'll talk about that also, but before that, let us talk about the plant tissues. Plant tissues are of two types on the basis of whether they can divide or they cannot divide. So the tissues which have the capacity to divide, वो टिश्यू जिनके अंदर कैपेसिटी होती है कि वो डिवाइड कर सकते हैं बच्चा, उनको हम कहते हैं मेरिस्टेमेटिक टिश्यूज. While there are group of plant tissues which cannot divide, okay, जो कि डिवाइड नहीं कर सकते, and they are permanent tissues. Okay, so from with this we get to know that there are two type of the tissues, plant tissues. They are meristematic tissues and the permanent tissue. So meristematic tissues are the tissues which can divide, while the permanent tissues are the tissues which cannot divide. Okay, just try to understand the concept behind the same. So dear, as the meristematic tissues, they have the ability to divide. वो divide कर सकते हैं, and let us consider that there is a cell. Okay, this cell is dividing. Okay, again they will divide, which means they are accumulating the cell. Okay, they are accumulating the cell one above the another, which means they are increasing the height or the width of the plant, which means they are responsible for the growth of the plant. Okay, so बच्चे, meristematic tissues are the tissues which are responsible for the growth of the plant. वो क्या करते हैं बच्चा, वो plant के growth के लिए responsible होते हैं. So if you have revised, okay, so if you have revised one concept properly, that is the cell division. We talked about two type of cell division there, that is mitosis and meiosis. Okay, but before talking about the mitosis and meiosis, let us talk about the characteristic of the meristematic tissues. So meristematic tissues, as I told you, these are the group of the plant tissues which have the ability to divide. Hence, they are responsible for the growth of the plant. Okay, the growth can be in two ways, like increasing the height or increasing the width, which means there are the meristematic tissues जो कि height बढ़ाते होंगे या फिर जो कि width बढ़ाते होंगे. Okay, so talking about the meristematic tissues, as they are dividing, okay, which means their cells, okay, they have a lot of cells and their cell will be needing a lot of energy. Okay, so they will have food और उस food का वो use कर लेंगे divide होने के लिए, which means they have nothing to store, which means they do not have vacuole or they have very few vacuoles which will be of smaller size. The cell wall will not be that thick because they are undergoing the process of cell division. So they have a normal cell wall made up of cellulose. The cell wall should not be thickened. So which means the very first point is that meristem means to grow. What they are, meristematic tissues are the tissues which consist of cells, actively dividing cells. They have thin cell walls. Why they do not have thick cell walls? Okay, because they are undergoing the process of cell division. They are very small cells, dear. These are the cells. They will just undergo the process of cell division. They will not increase in size that much. They will just undergo the process of cell division, which means they do not have, like they are not bigger in size. As they are smaller in size, so their cytoplasm is filled with a lot of cell organelles. For example, we say that this particular area has lot of people living over here, so we say that the population of this area is very dense. In the same way, dear, the cytoplasm containing a lot of cell organelle, we say that the dense cytoplasm. They do not have vacuole. Why they do not have vacuole? Because they do not have anything to store. So this is about the characteristic of the meristematic tissue. Now, what happened? How the permanent tissue arises? Just focus on this particular thing there. So meristematic tissues, they are not doing anything as such, they are just dividing. So what happened? Meristematic tissue, for example, let us try to understand this with this beautiful GIF that at present age you all are just studying. आप पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, ठीक है डियर. अब क्या होता है, maybe you want to be an astronaut, maybe you want to be doctor, maybe you want to be teacher, engineer, you want to be dancer, singer, whatever you want to be. लेकिन अभी आप सबका एक common role है. Okay, you all have a common role that you all are studying. अब dear, what happened? after completing your study, after completing everything, you became an astronaut. Okay, which means, dear, after this you attained a specific role, and your specific role is that you are an astronaut. But जब आप पढ़ाई कर रहे थे, you all were same. In the same way, dear, meristematic tissues, when they were dividing, they all were same. But when they attain a proper function, when they attain a specific function, they become specialized in performing that particular function. Okay, dear? So this is known as differentiation. Okay, what is differentiation? Differentiation is basically when a group of cell, okay, it attain a specific function, it start performing a specific function. So dear, what happened? The meristematic tissue, they will undergo the process of differentiation. They will attain a proper load, they will attain a specific role, they will become specialized to perform a function. We call them as permanent tissue. Now the permanent tissue, they have specific role. Now just try to understand it more. What happened after becoming astronaut? You were like, no, I want to study about something else, I want to learn something else. So what happened here? You will again lose your specialization. Okay, which means now what you will do, you will again start studying. Okay, dear, you will again start studying. So what happened here? In a same way, some permanent tissue, they lose their specific function, and they again start dividing, and they again become a meristematic tissue. Okay, and they again become a meristematic tissue. So what happened here? This is called as differentiation, and when they again become a meristematic tissue, we called it as de-differentiation. Specialization means performing a specific function, having a specific structure, performing specific function. Okay, after studying, what happened? You study about boxing and you become a boxer, which means you again attain a permanent function, which means this meristematic tissue can again become permanent. This is known as redifferentiation. So I hope that this is clear to all of you, that firstly meristematic will become permanent. This permanent can again become meristematic. So to differentiate, okay, so to differentiate between them, it is called as secondary meristem. So this secondary meristem, it may again a property, again become a specific, and it again become a permanent tissue. I hope that this is clear to all of you. So these what is the terms you should be aware about: the terms differentiation, redifferentiation, and the de-differentiation. Specialization means attaining a specific function. चलिए बच्चे, अब based on this, okay, wow, okay, fine. So based on this, there are two types. Okay, we can divide meristematic tissue on two bases. First, based on their origin. Let us try to understand it. Please focus on this. Okay? Based on their origin, meristematic tissues. So dear, we all know that we all originate from a zygote. Okay? The organisms which undergo the process of sexual reproduction, they give rise to the zygote, which is a single cell structure. This zygote, it become embryo. This embryo, it will give rise to baby. So dear, in plant which undergo the process of sexual reproduction, there will be zygote. This zygote, it will become embryo. In this embryo, the tissue which behaves as promeristem, the tissue which behaves as meristem are called as promeristem. Okay? So as embryo becomes baby, this promeristem, it will become primary meristem. So your first question, okay? So the answer of your very first question is the primary meristem. Okay, arises from? Your answer will be promeristem, as this promeristem will give rise to the primary meristem. I hope it's clear to all of you. As embryo is baby, embryo get converted to baby, the promeristem it get converted to primary meristem. Okay dear, now just focus on the same. This primary meristem may become permanent tissue. Okay, the permanent tissue may undergo the process of de-differentiation. Okay, they undergo the process of de-differentiation and it may give rise to the secondary meristem. Just focus on one thing, that understanding concept is very important. If you are able to understand the concept, you will be able to mark any answer. So just doing menti will be of no use अगर आपको concept समझ में नहीं आएगा. So guys, first focus on the concept. So based on their origin, there are three types of meristem. The meristem which is present in the embryo is the promeristem. The promeristem will give rise to the primary meristem. Primary meristem, and the permanent tissue, when they undergo the process of de-differentiation, they will give rise to the secondary meristem. Okay, now so this was based on their origin. Now dear, based on their position, the meristematic tissue is of again three types. The one which is present at the tip of the root and shoot is called as apical meristem. For example, this is the tip, shoot tip, apical meristem. Apical meristem will divide, accumulate the cell. Now the apical meristem is here, and now this is intercalary meristem. So intercalary meristem, they arises from the apical meristem only. Okay? They are present at the nodes and internodes. Now the next one is the lateral meristem. So dear, lateral meristem is the meristem. Okay? The lateral meristem is the meristem which arises from the secondary meristem, which arises from the permanent tissue, which means it's a secondary meristem and it is present on the sides and it divided in this way. Okay? It divided in this way, which means it adds cells on the sides, hence responsible for increase in the width of the plant. Promeristem is the meristem which is present in the embryo. I hope it's clear. Okay? Fine. I hope this question is clear to all of you. Okay. Now, so our very first question was the meristem derived from the promeristem. From this we get to know that the meristem which derived from the promeristem is the primary meristem. Node is this part of the stem from where leaf arises, dear. Okay, the part of the stem from where leaf arises is called as the node. Next question. The division in meristematic cells. As the meristematic cells, they are not forming any kind of a sperm cell or ova cell, which means they are not forming any gamete. So there will be equational division. So the correct answer will be mitotic division. Okay, I hope it's clear to all of you that promeristem is the meristem which is present in the embryo. ठीक है, चलिए, let us do some more questions. Everybody come for the menti and let us do some more question. I am repeating the code again. The code is on the screen. It's 89999391. Those who have just joined, come to the menti. The code is 89999391. And if you are enjoying the session, do not forget to hit the like button, to subscribe the channel, to press the bell icon and to share it with your friends. Okay. So we are on the third question. I am repeating the code for those who have just joined. The code is 89999391. Okay, it's 89999391. Chaliye, let us see what actually the question number 3 is trying to say. Fine. If you cut the root tips, which of the following will be seriously hampered? Okay. If you cut the root tips, अगर बच्चा आप रूट की टिप्स कट कर देते हैं, which of the following will be seriously hampered? किस पे सबसे ज्यादा इफेक्ट पड़ेगा? Absorption of water, respiration, photosynthesis, root growth. Root tip. You are just cutting the tip. You are not cutting the entire root. So please ध्यान से. Okay. Okay. So 14 of you have marked it correctly. Dear, you are cutting the root tip, which means you are removing the apical meristem. So dear, when you are removing the apical meristem, the root growth will be seriously hampered. So the correct answer is the root growth, because you are cutting the tip and on the tip apical meristem is there. Let us have a look over the leaderboard. Let us have a look over the leaderboard. Fine. So we have Gaurav leading the leaderboard with 2835 points. Wow, that's great. Now I hope that everybody is ready for the next question too. The code will remain the same for those who have just joined. It's 8999391. What is the code, guys? It's 8939991. Chaliye. Okay, launching the poll for the question number 4, and it's on the screen. The vascular cambium normally gives rise to. The vascular cambium, it will normally give rise to. Phalloderm, primary phloem, secondary xylem, shoot tip. Okay guys, mark your answers. The vascular cambium normally give rise to phalloderm, primary phloem, secondary xylem or shoot tip. Fine. So we have 10 of you, those who have marked it correctly. Wow, that's great. Now, let us have a look over the leaderboard so we'll understand the topic afterward. Okay. So we have Gaurav on the leaderboard with 3735 points, followed by Lohita, Pari, RK, Sanchit, Tisha, Yashika, Alankrita, Anupriya, Frosty. We'll talk about that at why not A. Chaliye. Everybody now come to the YouTube so that you will be able to understand the concept behind it. Chaliye. So now, just have a look over this, that meristematic tissues, they are on the basis of their origin. One is promeristem, which is present in embryo. Promeristem will give rise to the primary meristem. Primary meristem will is again of two types based on their position. Apical meristem, the one which is present at the apex of the root and shoot, and the intercalary meristem, the one which is present at the node part. Okay, bachcha, let us try understand that if any animal came and it grazes the grass, so it will take away the apical meristem. Now the intercalary meristem will be responsible for the growth. They both will undergo the process of differentiation and they will give rise to the permanent tissue. This permanent tissue will again start dividing and it will become and undergo the process of de-differentiation and it will give rise to the secondary meristem. Lateral meristem is a type of सेकेंडरी मेरिस्टम. तो बच्चा जो लेटरल मेरिस्टम है ना आपका, वो एक तरीके का सेकेंडरी मेरिस्टम होता है. Okay, I hope that this point is clear to all of you, that lateral meristem is a type of secondary meristem. Fine. Now, this second lateral meristem will again undergo the process of redifferentiation and it will again become the permanent tissue. I hope that everything is clear from this flow chart. ओके आपको इस फ्लो चार्ट से सब समझ में आ जाना चाहिए. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं बच्चे. नाउ So what happened here, as I told you that the meristematic tissue, they lose their property of division and they will become specific. Okay, बच्चा वो specific हो जाएंगे, they will attain a specific location and they will start performing a specific function. So based on the same, there are three type of tissue system in the plant. ठीक है बच्चा, dermal tissue, vascular tissue and the ground tissue. There are three type of tissue system in the plant, that is dermal, vascular and ground tissue. Dermal tissue, derma means when you go to dermatologist, they check your skin and so on. So dear, dermal tissue is the tissue, okay, which forms the covering of the plant. तो बच्चा जो plant की covering बनाता है उसको हम dermal tissues बोलते हैं. For example, I think all of you have heard about the word epidermis. Okay. Now, vascular tissue. Vascular tissue are the tissue which are responsible for the transport. Okay. Which are responsible for the transport, the xylem and the phloem. Ground tissue is basically the tissue which fills the entire part. Let us try to understand it. That dermis is the covering. Okay, dermis is the covering. Vascular tissue will be responsible for the transport, xylem and phloem, and the entire area. This entire area, dear, this entire area has to be filled. तो यहाँ के जो भी टिश्यूज होंगे बच्चा, इनको ग्राउंड टिश्यू कहा जाएगा. Ground tissue is basically the filling tissue which will perform the different functions, which will if it contains the chlorophyll, it may performs the photosynthesis, means it is responsible for different metabolic reactions. So this will be our epidermis. और ये बच्चा अपना अंदर वाला ग्रीन वाला पार्ट हो जाएगा for the conduction, for the vascular tissue. I hope that the tissue system कौन से होते हैं plant में is clear to all of you. Okay, dermal tissue, vascular tissue and the ground tissue. Okay, this is okay dear. This is the vascular tissue. This is the epidermis tissue and all the area which is left. Okay, it need to be filled. So it is filled with a type of a tissue which is called as ground tissue. तो बच्चे यहाँ का जितना भी part होगा that is called as ground tissue. I hope that it is clear to all of you. So basically in plant there are three type of tissue system. ठीक है, means the meristematic tissue, they differentiate, they pick up specific location and they start performing specific function. They become dermal tissue, vascular tissue or the ground tissue. Okay, now focus on this. This will be clear from this particular exam. So dear, see, this is a stem. So this is the dermal tissue of this stem. This is the vascular tissue and the entire part is filled with the ground tissue. Talking about the leaf, this is the dermal tissue. This is the vascular tissue. It is filled with the ground tissue. Talking about the root, this will be a dermal tissue, this will be a vascular tissue and the entire part is filled with the ground tissue. So these are the different tissue system in the plant. Okay, I hope that this point is clear to all of you. We were talking about cambium. Dear, cambium is basically a lateral meristem. Okay, cambium is basically a secondary meristem. कैम्बियम क्या है बच्चा, अपना सेकेंडरी मेरिस्टम है and secondary meristem is responsible for the secondary growth in the plant. It is responsible for increase in girth of the plant. तो बच्चा कैम्बियम की जस्ट पोजीशन आप समझिए. ठीक है, ये देखिए, ये बच्चा क्या है, ये आपका एपिडर्मिस है, ये आपका ग्राउंड टिश्यू है. ओके, दिस इज योर एपिडर्मिस, दिस इज योर ग्राउंड टिश्यू एंड दिस इज योर xylem and phloem. Okay dear, these blue color, okay, the blue color represent a cambium. The cambium is secondary meristem. This blue color also represents a cambium, okay, which is a secondary meristem. So dear, the cambium, it will grow. Just try to understand it. It will grow. So dear, when it grows, just try to understand it. When it grows, it will add cells over here. When it grows, it will add cells over here. So dear, the cambium which is present between xylem and phloem is called as vascular cambium, and vascular cambium is responsible for secondary growth, which means it is adding secondary phloem and secondary xylem. So the answer of your question is vascular cambium will be adding secondary xylem. Okay, this which is present in the ground tissue, this part of ground tissue is called as cortex. So this cambium is known as cortical cambium. So cambium is tissue, आप देख सकते हैं इसकी width increase हुई है, length increase नहीं हुई है, the width has increased. So dear, the cambium tissue, there are of two type, vascular cambium and cork cambium. Vascular cambium will add secondary xylem and secondary phloem, while cork cambium will produce more protective tissue outside. This is cork cambium and this is the vascular cambium. I hope that this point is clear to all of you. Okay. So your question was this. If you cut the root tip, which of the following will be hampered? Obviously, the growth of the root will be hampered because you are removing the apical meristem. Next question was, the vascular cambium normally give rise to? Obviously, it will give rise to the secondary xylem and the secondary phloem. I hope that everything till now is clear to all of you. Okay, chaliye, let us do the next question. Chaliye, everybody come to the Menti, so can we can move to the next question. फटाफट से आ जाइए. Okay, the code is 8999391, which means 8999391. So everybody come here and do call your friends. If you are enjoying the session, do not forget to hit the like button, to subscribe the channel and to press the bell icon so that you remain notified for such amazing sessions. Okay. तो बच्चा question number 5 क्या कहना चाह रहा है? Let us have a look over the question. So question is, vascular cambium is not responsible for, and the options are increase in the height of the plant, increase in girth of the plant, secondary growth, both B and C. Okay, we just talked about the vascular cambium and the question is based on the same. It increases the height of the plant, it increases the girth of the plant, it is responsible for secondary growth, both B and C. And the question is vascular cambium is not responsible for. G, mark your answers. Okay. So 7 of you have marked it wrong. And I was pretty sure that many of you gonna mark it 7 because you will not read the question properly. It is talking about not responsible for. So bachcha, vascular cambium is a secondary meristem. Secondary meristem is responsible for secondary growth, and okay, and it is secondary growth means it is responsible for increase in the girth of the plant. It will increase the width of the plant. Okay, let us have a look over the leaderboard for this particular question. Okay, so we have Lohita with 3760 point on the top of the leaderboard, followed by Gaurav, Pari, RK, Tisha, Alankrita, Frosty, Deepak, Sanchit, Yashika. Chale, we'll do the next question too. Those who have just joined, the code is 8999391. Let us have a look over the question. If there is a poison that check mitosis, which of the following will be first impacted? Chaliye, question kariye. You need to go to menti.com, dear. You need to go to menti.com. You need to go to www.menti.com. You need to enter this code. The code is 8999391. If there is a poison that check mitosis, which of the following will be first impacted? Okay. 2 of you have marked correctly, dear. It checked mitosis. मतलब बच्चा उसने mitosis को रोक दिया. Mitosis को रोक दिया, which means cell division रोक दिया. If there is no cell division, okay, if there is no cell division, which means there will be no root elongation. Okay, the meristematic tissue will not divide, and there will be no increase in the in the height of the plant. So dear, mitosis is a type of cell division, okay, which is responsible for the growth. So if there is no mitosis, there will be no growth. So the correct answer is the option 2. Okay, let us have a look over the leaderboard. So we have Lohita leading the leaderboard with 4519 points. Now, let us have a look over the next question. Those who have just joined, the code is 8999391. I hope that all of you are enjoying the questions. If so, hit the like button. Okay? चलिए बच्चा क्वेश्चन नंबर 7 देखते हैं क्या कहना चाह रहा है. Okay? Please be vigilant when you are marking the answers. बहुत ध्यान से answers mark करिए. Permanent tissues are formed from cell division only, cell division followed by differentiation, death of cells by photosynthesis. Okay? Permanent tissues are formed by cell division followed by differentiation, death of cells or photosynthesis. Fine. So 19 of you have marked it correctly. That's wow. So as I told you, meristematic tissue, they will divide, and after some time they will lose their ability to divide. They will undergo the process of differentiation, okay, and they will attain a proper function, a proper location. We call them as permanent tissue. Wow, that's great that 19 of you have marked it correctly. Wow. Let us have a look over the leaderboard. Okay. So we have Lohita, Gaurav, Pari, Deepak, RK, Tisha, Alankrita, Frosty, Bhokal macha denge. Yes, obviously. And Anupriya. Wow. So dear, let us move to one more question. After this, we'll understand the topic behind it. Those who have just joined, dear, the code is 8999391. The code is 8999391. Okay. Chaliye. Let us see the question number 8, and it is on screen. It's 8999391. Lignin is a component of the secondary walls of. Lignin is the component of the secondary walls of. Okay. So we have 9 of you, those who have marked it correctly. Yes, dear, sclerenchymatous tissue, they contain lignin. Okay, lignin is their one of the component. Next question. We have Lohita, Gaurav. Okay, wow, that's great. We'll do 1-2 more questions. Let us have a look over the next question. That is question number 9. And the question is on the screen. Which of the following is most stiff? इसमें से सबसे ज्यादा stiff कौन सा है? Parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Which of the following is the most stiff? तो बच्चा इसमें से सबसे ज्यादा stiff कौन सा है? So we have 14 of you, those who have marked it correctly. Yes, dear, sclerenchyma is the most stiff one. We'll talk about that also. But before that, let us have a look over the leaderboard. So we have Lohita leading the leaderboard with 7371 points. That's great. We'll do the question number 10. Afterwards, we'll understand the concept based on all these questions. Okay. Okay, Sharif, but you can join for the mentee. The code is 8999391. And the question number 10 is here. Petiole has lots of collenchyma. Reason it needs to be stiff. Petiole has lots of collenchyma. The reason is that it needs to be stiff. Okay. Fine. How many of you have marked it correctly? So we have 9 of you, those who have marked it correctly. That's true. The assertion is true while the reason is false. We'll understand this question. But before that, let us have a look over the leaderboard. So we have Lohita on the top of the leaderboard with 8330 points. Let us try to understand the concept based on these questions. Okay, dear. So actually, if you like focused on the question, in all the questions we have talked about any particular function, dear, which means we have talked about the permanent tissue. So permanent tissues are the tissues which arises from the meristematic tissue after the process of differentiation. Okay, they can be of two type on the basis of the number of on the basis of the types of cells they are composed of. If they are composed of only one type of the cells, they are called as simple permanent tissues. If they are composed of more than one type of cells, they are called as complex permanent tissues. Okay, simple means the one which is made up of only one type of cell. More than one type of cell, complex permanent tissue, they arise from the meristematic cells by the process of differentiation. Okay, I think all of you love cycling, right? So in the, if you see the tire, if you see this part, okay, which moves, it has, dear, three regions. Okay, it has three parts basically. The one, as you can see, the one is the tube. Okay, the one is the tube. The other one is the steel wala aapka rim, and the one is the tire. Talking about the tube, okay, tube is the flexible one. Okay, tube, as you can see, if you can tube is a flexible, it has flexibility. Talking about the tire, it is flexible but up to a limit. It is not flexible. ठीक है, बहुत दम लगा के but वो flexibility show करता है. ठीक है, it is a flexible but up to a limit. Talking about the rim, it is not flexible at all. Dear, in the same way, the simple permanent tissue in a plant are of three types. The one which is very flexible, which provide flexibility to the plant, that is parenchyma. The one which is not flexible at all, which provides strength to the plant, which provides support to the plant, that is sclerenchyma. It is not flexible at all. Talking about the tire, okay, that it represents the collenchyma. Dear, collenchyma is a flexible but up to a limit. So that's why, dear, this is leaf. Okay, the petiole is a part by which leaf is attached to a stem. So petiole need to be flexible but up to a limit, so that when there is any wind or something like that, the petiole bend and it come back to its position. So so that's why the reason was not for that question, the reason was saying it need to be stiff. No, it need not to be stiff. It need to be flexible but up to a limit. That's why it is made up of collenchyma. So we have talked about, okay, three type of simple permanent tissue: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Parenchyma is living, okay, collenchyma is also living. Sclerenchyma is dead. Okay, dear. See, parenchyma found in every soft part of the plant as it is living. Okay. Found in every soft part of the plant as it is living. Okay. Next, collenchyma. ठीक है, पीटीओल में मिलेगा आपको, as I told you, because it provide flexibility but up to a limit. Okay, dear. Talking about the third one, it is found in the mature. Okay. I hope it's clear to all of you. Talking about the third one, ठीक है, it consists of an unequal thick cell wall. Okay. It has a thin cell wall, no thick cell wall, but it has a rigid cell wall. Okay, dear. Thin cell wall, unequal thin cell wall, but it has thickening but at some corners. The cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectin. The cell wall is only made up of cellulose. The cell wall is made up of lignin. Okay, dear. In sclerenchyma, the cell wall is made up of lignin. Okay. So this is the difference between the parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. ठीक है, let us move to the questions again. We'll do two more questions. Okay. I hope that everybody is ready for the question number 11. And the question is on the screen. Companion cell in plants are associated with. Plants में जो companion cells होते हैं वो associated रहते हैं. Vessels, sperms, sieve elements, guard cells. Okay. Fine. So we have 9 of you, those who have marked it correctly. Wow, that's great. Okay. Now we will have a look over the leaderboard. So we have Lohita who is leading the leaderboard with 9,269 points. Let us move to the next question. Okay, let us move to the next question. That is question number 12. We'll have a look over the last question, then we'll have leader for the day. Grafting is successful in dicots but not in monocots because the dicots have. Okay. Grafting is successful in monocots but not in dicots as dicots have. तो बच्चा जो dicotyledon plants होते हैं उनके पास कुछ extra होता है. What is that? Wow, that's great. So we have 5 of you, those who have marked it correctly. Dear, the dicotyledonous plant, ठीक है, they are thick. ठीक है, the grafting is possible. Grafting means it is a type of asexual reproduction जिसमें हम एक पार्ट का नीचे, एक प्लांट का, ठीक है, नीचे वाला पार्ट लेते हैं और सेकेंड उसके ऊपर एक पार्ट लेते हैं, स्टॉक एंड सियॉन, उसको बाइंड कर देते हैं. It is possible in dicots because dicots have, okay, because dicots have cambium. Let us have a look over the leaderboard. Okay, so we have Lohita leading the leaderboard with 9,269 points. Wow, congratulations to you, dear. You have done very well. Wow, that's great. Congratulations to all of you. Come to the Menti YT everyone. So we have talked about the companion cells, dear. There are two type of complex permanent tissue. The one is xylem and the other one is phloem. Okay, one is xylem and the other one is phloem. So this represents the xylem, this represents the phloem. Phloem is the tissue which is responsible for the transport of food. Xylem is the tissue which is responsible for the transport of water and mineral. ठीक है, xylem बच्चा हमेशा वाटर्स को ऊपर लेके जाता है, while phloem फूड को बाय डायरेक्शनल में मूवमेंट बाय डायरेक्शनल ट्रांसपोर्ट कराता है. आई होप the xylem and phloem is clear to all of you, that xylem is composed of xylem is generally composed of dead cells, while phloem is composed of living. Okay, there are 4 parts of the xylem: xylem parenchyma, xylem sclerenchyma, okay, brachys and vessels. In phloem there are sieve tube, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem sclerenchyma. Sieve tubes, they do not contain nucleus, so they always remain associated with the companion cells. I hope that it is clear to all of you. Okay, so again, if you want to revise the entire CBSE syllabus, you can join the Goprep courses. They will help you a lot. And if you want to revise matter and its purity, you can join this session, which is going to start from today onwards. If you have still not if you have still not downloaded the Goprep learning app, you can download it now. Okay, you can download it now. In this you get a facility of 24/7 doubt asking. ठीक है, तो बच्चा आप लोग इस ऐप को डाउनलोड कर लीजिए, इसमें आपको बहुत सारी फैसिलिटीज मिलेंगी. ठीक है, सो सी यू ऑल इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. टिल देन ऑल ऑफ यू टेक केयर, ओके, एंड स्टे ब्लेस्ड. Take care, all of you. Bye. And do not forget to hit the like button, to subscribe the channel and to press the bell icon.